Let's see.
All right. Welcome to the QEM Heroes webinar series. I'm Christine Wood, and I serve as the Assistant Program Director for the Heroes Fellows Program at QEM. For more than 30 years, QEM has been a national catalyst for STEM education transformation and research capacity building. Currently, the QEM network serves nearly 900 colleges and universities and reaches more than 8,000 individuals nationwide. This webinar is part of the HEROES initiative. The HEROES program brings together researchers with experience in the federal government to lend their expertise and support to the STEM research and education communities. Our fellows are here to provide tools and tips for navigating the funding landscape, developing STEM programs and partnerships, and improving talent retention in in-demand fields. We hope this series promotes engagement with our HEROES fellows and provides valuable resources to our participants. During the webinar, we invite you to use the Q&A tool to ask questions. We'll address those questions at the end of the presentation. And as always, the webinar recordings and slides will be available in the QEM Resource Hub. By attending this webinar, you will be added to the QEM network and granted access to the Resource Hub. And I am happy to introduce our presenter today. Sade Laird is a naval systems safety engineer whose research background focused on safety analysis and risk mitigation for complex naval systems, with prior experience supporting ammunition and ship self-defense systems for NAVSEA. She also has extensive experience in STEM education and supporting engineering workforce development programs such as the Science, Mathematics, and Research for Transformation Scholarship for Service program. Additionally, she has also coordinated the College of Southern Maryland's Workforce Development Program with the University of Maryland at College Park and the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division. Lastly, she has been a participant in the U.S. Army Sustainment Command's internship program for engineers. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Sade and start our webinar.
Thank you so much, Christine. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Sade Laird. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. Today, I'm going to present on campus to capability and basically go over how the NAVSEA research and workforce priorities can be aligned for opportunities for HBCU faculty and staff. Okay. So this slide is covering the mission to campus alignment. So when I start off the presentation, I'm going to go over the Navy mission and then some critical technology areas that are important to the Navy. And these are newly released from the Department of War. And from there, we can see how if you're at a university currently doing research, maybe it aligns with something that you're already doing or something that you may want to do in the future, and then how that can impact the student workforce. Okay, so this is just an example of how the work that's being done on a campus laboratory can be aligned with the Navy. So maybe there's already a robotics lab, and maybe there's already a robotics team at your university. And or maybe you also have a underwater lab. So one way that could be aligned with the Navy is the Navy has unmanned underwater vehicle and autonomous systems. So like I said, work that's already currently being done with a few adjustments and perhaps the security clearance you can start working on the critical needs of the Navy. Okay, so this is probably where I should have started, but this is the Navy mission, which is to protect U.S. national security by maintaining freedom of the seas and ensuring maritime dominance alongside allies and partners. And why innovation matters is because the Navy operates in an environment strategic competition. So if you look to the very bottom of the slide, the best way I can sum that up is the goal is to always be very, very ahead of our adversaries. So that's why we need the bright minds on college campuses to not just improve the technology that we have, but be innovative in ways to get new technologies so we can maintain our dominance and national security. Okay. So I think that these are some of the things that I already mentioned about the mission, but there are many ways for universities to get connected. And one way is to work directly with a Navy facility or any Department of War facility. We're sticking with Navy today that might be close to the area of your campus or not close, but perhaps faculty does research there for the summer or students can get an internship opportunity. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in future slides, but uh, working for in a research lab is good for faculty and students. This is probably the easiest and fastest way to understand what the critical needs are because you'll get a security clearance, which I'm going to touch on a little later. So you'll have a really in-depth understanding of what the needs are and why we need to move on those needs rapidly. Okay, so these are the critical technology areas that I mentioned. You might have seen this document before that's on the right, and it definitely gives a definition of these areas. And I'm not an expert in all of these areas, but I can speak to them on a basic level. But if there's something that you're very interested in, reach out and we could connect further. But I will just read a couple of the definitions so we understand a little bit of what we're dealing with. And the first definition I'll read is AI, uh, applied artificial intelligence. Now, we all know artificial intelligence in many ways, and I won't tell them the students and talk about ChatGPT, but the way that the Navy is using artificial intelligence is much different. So I'm going to read the definition and then encourage you to think about the way that the Navy is using the artificial intelligence would be to make decisions with weapon systems. So a lot more research needs to be done and a lot of advancements need to be made in that area. So AI is the cornerstone of the Department of War's strategy to achieve decision superiority. By embedding artificial intelligence into command and control systems, the department will enable intelligent workforce. I'm also going to read the contested logistic technologies, which reimagines military sustainment in disrupted or denied environments, ensuring warfighters have access to critical resources. So we all know when the warfighters are out at sea in the ship that they will need resources brought to them. So making sure that the logistics track for those resources to be received by them is always clear and available is very important and key. And then I'll talk a little bit, I'll read the definition for the scale hypersonics, which will uh, basically deliver Mach 5 weapons at scale, providing unmatched speed, precision, and survivability. So hopefully that gives a little insight to these critical technology areas. And if we need to go deeper and maybe a later presentation, I'm happy to do that as well. Excuse me, next slide, please. Okay, so this is a list of faculty research opportunities that has a QR code. So I'll let you take out your phone and scan that, and it'll look like a Google search, but it should return at least 20 research opportunities for faculty. And it's so critical for faculty to have these opportunities during the summer and also to make the connections, right? So the faculty can go to these labs, facilities for the summer, learn the research, and bring it back to the students and meet all of the key people who are actively doing the work for the Navy. So hopefully everyone has had a chance to scan and pull that list up. I also have a copy of these that I can email out if you are able to contact me. Just somebody scan. Can we know if is it working today? All right, sounds good, sounds good. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so this is the Smart Scholarship, which is a phenomenal program, whether for any university student, not just the HBCU. So the Smart Scholarship is really a world-class scholarship program, and it provides your full tuition, and on top of the full tuition, the students get an annual stipend. So that means every month their only job is going to school. They will get a check based on where they are in their studies every month to, cover the things that they need to cover. Also, they will be provided an internship to work in any type of facility. It doesn't just have to be Navy. And then because it is a workforce development program, for every year that your tuition is provided, then you owe your facility a year of work service or guaranteed job, whatever way you want to look at it. So at the bottom is the website for the Smart Scholarship. And there's one thing to really understand about the Smart Scholarship. Well, two important things I want to say. The first one is that it opens in August and closes in December. So if you apply August 2026, the funding will not kick in until August 2027 when you start school. So if you are in high school, you can apply as long as when you start your college semester, you are 18 or older. All right. So also, please scan the code up there, the QR code on this if you would like more information about the Smart Scholarship. And one other very important thing I wanted to mention about the Smart Scholarship that I know is that the people who administer the scholarship, they say that a lot of students don't complete the application. And you cannot get the scholarship if you don't complete the application. So it's important to note it's a long application, and part of it being completed is that you have recommendations from a professor. So if it's due December 1, I know it's a weird date, probably not made by academic people, but if it's due December 1, you can't wait until Thanksgiving to get it started or ask for those recommendations from the professor. So I'm sure all the faculty are going to share this opportunity today, and I'm sure all the students are going to get started on this August 1st at 12:01 a.m. All right, next slide, please. So, because this is such an amazing opportunity, I just wanted to provide a little bit more information of how you can get connected with Smart. They have an Instagram. I was told Instagram was for the young people, Facebook was for the adults. My nephew told me that he's a college student at Morehouse, and I told him I was hip and I knew what was going on. He said I was so hip that I'm still using the word hip. So apparently the socials, the social media is doing different stuff for different people, but there's also the LinkedIn and the QR code to the website. Now, what you should pay attention to is the STEM disciplines. So those are the disciplines that they accept for STEM. So as long as you're under that umbrella, I do sometimes get people to say, oh, nursing or medical is covered or is a STEM field, but doesn't necessarily apply to this opportunity. But these are questions that you can reach out, via the website or via the smart email to ask before you get started. Let me see. Let me read a little bit. The SMART the Science, Mathematics, and Research for Transformation Scholarship for Service Program is funded by the Department of War, is a distinguished education and workforce development opportunity for aspiring leaders in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The SMART program provides merit-based scholarship opportunities for students pursuing STEM degrees at the bachelor's and doctoral levels to include incoming college freshmen. And one thing to note also is depending on when you are awarded the scholarship is good for 5 years. So if you're in the middle of your bachelor program, excuse me, then you can So if you get 2 years for undergrad, you still get 3 years, so you can cover your master's with that as well. And also, people who are currently working with the Navy, if you want to go back to the school, you can use this opportunity as well. It's important to know. Next slide, please. All right, so more information. It is important to note that you must be a U.S. citizen for this opportunity, 18 or older by the award start date, which I already mentioned, and able to obtain and maintain a security clearance. I'll talk a little bit about that in a further slide. Also, if you see the middle, the benefits, I know I've said it like several times already, but you can't beat them. Full tuition, no matter where you go. The annual stipend, book and health allowance, summer internships, experienced mentor, and the DoD civilian employment. And the tip that you guys get, since I am very familiar with this program, is that if you live more than 50 miles away from the facility in the summer, so let's just say you live in Virginia and the opportunity is in Alabama, you do get extra stipend um, to help take care of your rental experiences for living and transportation. So I think that was notable to add. And so I'm just going to read the opportunity of one of the scholars, start with Mr. Dr. Torres. It says, the SMART Scholarship allowed me the freedom to choose my own research journey throughout my master's and PhD in electrical engineering at UCLA during phase one. During phase two, in San Diego, I commenced my career from day one, already being familiar with the advanced photonic technologies branch and my mentor. So just wanted to read that for impact, and we could go to the next slide. Okay, so security clearances. I have included a website if you want more information. Like I said, the easiest or fastest way to get one is to do a research program for faculty and or students. Things you'll want to know, they will definitely dig into your past. They'll probably know more about your background than you do. The best advice that I can say for security clearance is be honest, right? So, as you can see in the definition, one thing that they want to make sure is that you're a trustworthy individual. So, if you start off lying, it's not going to go well. And I can attest to the fact that I have seen many people with, I probably shouldn't say sketchy situations, but situation that you might not feel like they were eligible for a clearance, but they had something in their past, they addressed it, they had something in their past, they addressed it and were honest about it. Hey, 5 years ago, I did experience, bankruptcy because, I lost my job, etc. I had a health challenge and now I've, met with a financial counselor. I'm back on track, so if you had an issue, state it and also say the plan that you put in place. Next slide, please. Okay, so for those who are liking what they hear and are saying they want to apply for some funding opportunities directly with the Navy or Department of War, one key advice that I recently learned at the BEA conference from Howard University, who has done so much well on the forefront of research opportunities, creating research opportunities, they said that they use a SME, subject matter expert, while writing their funding opportunities, which made a lot of sense because in the next slides, I'm going to talk a little bit about how the naval language is very different from the academic language. So if we go to the next slide. Okay, so in naval, so I'm going to start talking about the academic language versus the Navy language. So while academic research often focuses on knowledge gaps, while defense research focuses on mission problems and operational risks. That is very true. So strong proposals translate academic research into solutions that support Navy mission needs. And that's part of the reason that I share the critical technology areas because there are some areas, while important, but just won't get funded by the Navy if they're not related to a mission need. So the academic language will talk about broader impacts, and the Navy language is going to want to know about how's this impacting the mission? Where is the workforce? Where are the people to calculate these trajectories? Where are the people to make sure we're not putting the warfighter at risk? Where are all these smart people and how fast can you get them here? Right? And then the academic language, knowledge generation, and Navy, I guess you could call them straight shooter, is all about the capability development, right? How can you help us, build these capabilities and, with a quick turnaround. So academic language, collaboration, Navy language, technology transition. Academic language, student training, and as you can see, it says cleared STEM workforce, right? Because if you have that clearance, you can have a deeper understanding of what the need is. So that's why it's important that the STEM workforce is not just a regular STEM workforce, but it's you have those clearances. So believe it or not, these next two sentences that I will read are actually referring to the same thing, and I'm just going to read them out loud. So, and this is just an example to just see how different that they really are. So, the academic language literature suggests a gap in understanding the impact of high frequency sonar on marine mammal behavior patterns, often leading to ambiguous environmental impact assessments, right? So the naval language is current acoustic non-lethal deterrence, ANLD. The Navy has acronym for absolutely everything. Failed to prevent unauthorized vessel approach, risking ship safety. A rapid, non-lethal solution is required to neutralize threats. So that's all I have for this slide. Okay, so this is just a reminder of how important it is to get the clearances for HBCU faculty and students. That's all this slide was. I inserted it to make sure I was hitting this message home of the importance of the clearances. Next slide, please. Okay. One thing that you can do if you're a faculty at any university, is to serve as an evaluator. So I recently served as an evaluator from National Science Foundation, and I was in a different world because everything was in academic language and they were talking about the broader impact. So that was an experience for me. Um, if Now I'm gonna try to make this a little interactive. If you have evaluated for an organization, if you could put the name of like the organization and the website in the chat and maybe how you found out about the opportunity, that would be great. Um, as I said, I found out about my opportunity on LinkedIn. So I'll give participants a couple minutes to see if they've evaluated where and how they found out about the opportunity.
The chat is open for everyone to give their
Okay,
responses.
okay. Oh, well, some good responses. Okay, all right. Looks like you guys are already doing a lot of, oh, wow, evaluating and great work. That's awesome. Still coming in. Okay. I see you, Dr. Wood. All right. So now moving on to the next slide. We're going to talk about building visibility. Um, so I'll just tell basically a story. So I was involved in a team where my sole job was to look for HBCUs who were just really doing the STEM work. They were leading the way in the STEM fields. Had a quick turnaround. I'm only using websites, and I'll just be honest, some of the websites told a much better story. They were highlighting, they had student stories, they had it on their social media excuse me, better than others. But that's not to say that those other universities were not doing the work, right? But is it captured if someone is looking for you? Are you ready for the opportunity? So what does that mean? If I met so many wonderful students at Baya, and they're already working in these national laboratories during the summer. They're already smart scholars. They're already in partnership programs collaborating to get advanced degrees. So if you are a faculty or research coordinator, perhaps get on the first name basis with the university's marketing team, send them some, I don't know, coffee or whatnot. But being able to capture the achievements in STEM on your website, as well as creating new opportunities for students, is very important. So hopefully this visual aid just talks to that, and that this is actually something that is really in my wheelhouse and I'm very passionate about. So if you have ideas of how we can get this jump started, please make sure you take down my contact information so we can get started on this. Next slide, please. Oh, great. All right, so you contact me now. So these are some QR codes where you can check out our up and coming QEM events, our Heroes webpage, and give feedback on this webinar. And also contact me or email me. Would love to talk with everyone on this call to see how we can collaborate and get some funding for universities. So if you're not an R1, you will be soon. So I'm open for questions.
We have a question from Dr. Francis Carter Johnson. Did you say how many SMART scholarships are awarded each year?
Um, I did not say that. I'm sure that information is public. I've been away from the program for over 5 years, so anything I have would not be accurate. But from what I remember when I was there, I would say, I would say I remember very high applicant numbers, and maybe around 440 were selected. So maybe I'd say maybe about 4,000 applications put in. Uh, and remember, it's merit based. Oh, one other tip for your students if they're talking about the Smart Scholarship is working with students. They say a lot of amazing things, but they talk about how the program would be good for them and their internship skills. But everyone who's reviewing it is going to want to hear how the work, what you can bring to help the warfighter. So if you circle, I mean, if the faculty help the students understand that the actual, mission, this is not just not minimize any other internship experience, but the work that is being done is so critical, right? So we don't have a second time to get things right when we're dealing with national security and weapons. So this is not just a fly-by-night internship. Your application needs to speak to you being committed to this program and being clear on who we serve, which is, the war fighter and ultimately the security of this nation. So just wanted that. But um, so I'm
Yeah.
sorry I didn't completely answer your question, but hopefully I put you in the right direction. And thank you for asking the question.
Dr. Erickson has raised her hand. I am going to allow Dr. Erickson to come off mute and ask her question.
Sure.
So I'm just going to give you a little help, Sade. Last year there were about 600 awarded
Okay.
scholarships for SMART.
Okay.
And I thought that it'd be important to note and let anybody that's interested know that there is a commitment of 1 year per year that you receive funding to work in a DoD or DOW lab. So
Correct. Yep.
it's important to know that commitment has to be returned.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions, comments?
Did you see any flexibility on the major requirements for science education?
Um, could you be like a little bit more
I
specific?
think
Was there a
the
specific?
question is about what SMART recipients can major in.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I have seen, some flexibility with the majors if it falls under a category that's already given. But the best way to know is to email them directly to say, hey, this specific type of science education um does it qualify? To email them directly would be just the best way. But I have seen some flexibility of, within those majors, if it's computer science and, maybe something that goes underneath that wasn't developed, but it's still related. I have seen some flexibility, but specifically, the best way would be to reach out and ask. You're welcome.
And we are taking additional questions. And like Dr. Erickson did, if you'd like to come off mute, you can raise your hand. We will spotlight you. Okay, Dr. Erickson says the science education would have to be directly related to the needs of the military workforce. And Yinshu Wu has a question. I have volunteered to be a reviewer for NSF and NASA, but I was not selected. Do you have any tips?
I can just give you tips based on my experience. I think, well, I applied for National Science Foundation one time for something general, like STEM education, and I don't think I had enough to support on my resume to support that. And then I applied again for one related to community colleges, and I worked at two community colleges, and that's where the breadth of my experience lies, and I did get selected. So I guess my thing that I would say is to keep trying, and if whatever the opportunity is related to, make sure you highlight that experience and on your resume.
Okay. And Dr. Greg Davis, I'm gonna allow you to unmute and ask your question.
Hey, Shade. As a scholarship can be seen as a recruiting tool for the government workforce, and you worked in the government for a long time. Did you enjoy it? And if so, what was the best part?
Oh yeah, I absolutely enjoy it. So I'm a math person. So all of the I don't know if cool is the right word, but the advanced technology that I was able to learn, all of the ways that I could take my love for math and know that I was having an impact uh, on the nation. I really did enjoy it and I recommend it, especially if you're, a student and you really enjoy any of the STEM fields. This is an opportunity to put that stuff into practice. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for the answer.
And another follow-up question is, do you have recommendation or direct links to find reviewer positions posted for newbies?
Reviewer positions. So this is just my method, and if there's someone else in the chat who wants to drop it, I mean, I know you can go to research.gov and see like upcoming opportunities, but also I've really invested a lot into my STEM network on LinkedIn. So whenever I scroll, I'm seeing some kind of evaluate activity, some kind of internship. So that's what has worked for me. But if there's someone else in the chat who wants to address probably a quicker way to come across those reviewer opportunities, feel free to drop that in the chat as well.
So I will say this, I've served as a reviewer many times, I'll say many times, for NSF. And the way that there are several ways with NSF, and they have a listserv, for instance, that you can sign up for a ridiculous number of listservs if you want, and you're going to get emails all the time about the opportunities, not only for proposals, but for serving as a reviewer. There are many of the programs have office hours. If you attend those in those office hours, 9 times out of 10, they're going to drop a link for you to put your name on the list to serve as a reviewer. So there are, and if you go, so and I'm an NSF baby. So if you go to NSF and you type in reviewer, they have pages on why it's important to be a reviewer, how you can be a reviewer. And one of the things they will tell you is that, and I'm suggesting this, is that you go to the NSF page, find a program or an RFP in particular that you are interested in reviewing for, and then send that program officer an email saying, I would like to be a reviewer for this opportunity. And then, and you typically, just like a one pager, what you'll do is you send that email to the program officer, send them your resume, and tell them why you want to be a reviewer for the program. What they're 9 times out of 10 going to do is either send you a link, because some of the programs have pre-fabricated applications that you fill out for a given program. Now, it's just like being an actor necessarily, interviewing for a part. You're going to get rejected more than you're going to get accepted 9 times out of 10, unless you have a very special, SME. If you're a very special SME and a very, in an area that doesn't have a lot of experts, because there's a lot of folks out there trying to be reviewers. But let me also say this. Hopefully, I'm hoping that the most of you who are interested in being reviewers are interested because you're interested in the field of study, and or because you want to learn how to better write a proposal. Because if you're in it for the money, then you need to stop, because you're not going to get paid, at least, once again, NSF baby. You're not going to get paid a lot of money for this. You get paid $200 a day, at least that's what it was last time I did it, for each day you serve on a panel. But you're going to put 5 times as much time into it in terms of reading the proposals and then evaluating the proposals and then the 2 days. So that's my 10 cents of unsolicited advice.
Thank you so much.
And there are some links in the chat, one which directs you to applying for reviewer positions as a volunteer, of course, at NSF. And like Tarina said, there is a small stipend for serving as a reviewer. And registering in research.gov, completing the volunteer review process, where you input your areas of expertise. And Dr. Erickson has provided even more resources in the chat to apply for reviewer positions at NASA. A subject matter expert should visit the NASA Science Mission Directorate website, fill out volunteer review forms for proposals like ROSE's, research opportunities in space and earth sciences. And Dr. Broadlusk says, I reviewed for the NSF graduate research scholarships once. It was a lot of work, but very fulfilling. I agree. I've served on 3 NSF review panels, and Tarina is right. The investment, it's worth the time investment. Not really something that you do for the cash, but the opportunity to interact with other panelists and to discuss the intellectual merit and broader impacts of proposals that are coming in is incredibly valuable. And like Tarina mentioned, it can sharpen and hone your skills as a proposal writer yourself. And Dr. Erickson, you're off mute if you'd like to put your 2 cents in.
Okay. Thank you. So I was going to give you something that was a little bit different too, that is practical. If you are in a region that has um, like a city committee that helps to provide grants, you can volunteer there and begin to build up your resume on your ability to help review grants. And so that starts really local. There are probably not many people that have your expertise, and they would probably love to have that. Typically, those are more likely to be volunteer, maybe not for pay, but that would be another way to build up your resume.
Dr. Brad Lusk would like everyone to know that reviewing for the NSF for cash is like reporting to jury duty for the cash. That's probably true.
So Sade, I'm gonna put you on the spot here real quick. Um, so what is your next topic gonna be? What are we gonna get from you next time on your webinar? Do you know yet?
Yes, I do.
Well, tell us about it.
So I will be presenting with Dr. Davis on the critical technology areas. And I'm going to give a specific example on artificial intelligence and how it can help us, but also how taking a human out of the loop of the responsibility for weapon engagement will pose a long list of issues that will need solutions as well. And I'm really hoping for everyone who attends that webinar to realize that the importance of our best and brightest minds being attached to these issues, right? So everyone who's working for students, they have the opportunity, to teach them, but that critical thought pattern is how we're going to, you know, maintain dominance and stay safe. So I'm gonna give a scenario and just have people, think about it. And I'm really, really excited about that.
Dr. Davis, feel free to come off mute.
I'll just point out that for the Navy speak, academic speak bridge among you, weapon engagement is another way of saying shooting.
Thank
It
you.
should be a good talk. It's going to be on the 26th of March, and Shade and I will be presenting about the title is the critical technology areas. So it's going to be a much deeper dive into something that she touched on today. And yes, the deepest dive will be into an AI scenario.
And I don't know if we want to get into this now, but Dr. Erickson noted it would be awesome to present what Anthropic's position was to DOW. Now, Sade, do you have some background on the current situation with Anthropic versus ChatGPT with Navy missions and mass surveillance?
Okay, no, I'm gonna say no to that because we want them
Okay.
to come back to the next one. So
Okay.
we can answer that question then.
Okay.
Y'all gonna have to work for it. Come back to the next one. I just
Thank you,
wanted to give y'all a
Serena.
little tickle.
Thank you.
And remember, you can always check the QAM events page for upcoming webinars. The Heroes webpage will give you individual profiles of short profiles of our heroes so you can reach out to subject matter experts and people who are working within your region. And as always, we appreciate the webinar feedback. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in an upcoming webinar.
Thank you, everybody.